I'm live. Hello, hello, hello. I am so excited to be joined with Liz Hancock today. She is an EFT practitioner. She's trained with us quite a few years ago. So around 10 years you've been a practitioner. And you're also passionate about working with money and success mindset with business coaching. So I can't think of a better person to talk to when it comes to how to create a successful EFT business. And I run lots of mentorings, and I've done this for a number of years now with our wonderful EFT students and practitioners. And one of the things that often it is a common question is, okay, I'm qualified now. How do I make a success of my EFT business? And they kind of sit there thinking that clients will just rock up, and something, maybe for some of them they do. And if you've already got, hello Helen, if you've already got a thriving business, then that in some other area, yes, that's definitely a possibility. But if you're new to this and you're setting up your business for the first time, what I think people don't realize is that it's not just about doing EFT, which we love. It's about running a business. And most of us don't even know how to start. And I know it's taken me hundreds of years to figure that one out. So, Liz, what would you say to someone who is just starting out and it's like, okay, where do I get my clients from? And, it might actually be not just for someone who's just starting out, but someone who's been struggling for a while. And just before you answer that, I think, isn't it true that there's a really high percentage of businesses that fail in the first year? I don't know what the percentage is. I meant to look it up.
Yeah. Everyone, lovely to be here. Thank you, Tamara. It's great to be here. I used to know that percentage. It's really high. I think it's definitely more than a third, which is really sad. And especially in these times when everyone's worried about the cost of living. Well, everyone's feeling the cost of living increase, not just worried about it. And now's the time, even if you have another business or a job, do something like this, even if you do it on the side to start with, because it is, I was really thinking about this yesterday, there's so much more potential. I know that I can earn so much more in my EFT business than if I went back into business, into a corporate career, having to get childcare, and my kids are a bit older now, so they'd be latchkey children, which I don't want. There's so much more potential, and I think it's just really there's so many people in need as well. And just because people are tightening their purses doesn't mean to say they can't afford things like paying for EFT. There's a lot of people that can't afford it, don't get me wrong, but there are so many people that can afford it because so many people are suffering. And we'll talk more about that in the course, won't we, about how we can actually help those people on really low incomes that maybe can't afford it, how we can give some stuff away for free or reduced prices without sacrificing your income and basically your well-being in your life. So what was the original question, Tamara? I forgot it.
I don't know if I can remember. What would you say to someone who, how do you make? I mean, this is like a massive question. You could probably speak on this for about a few days, but what would you say to someone who's just starting out? If you could kind of, if there was one or two things that they should really know.
Yeah. Okay. So sometimes when you're starting out, I think it's almost easier because you're so excited, especially with the EFT, because it's just mind-blowingly amazing when you first learn. So you tell everyone about it, but I think it's the main piece of advice I'd say is not fall into the typical traps. So don't give your services away for free. You can even charge when you're training, I think.
Absolutely. So long as you've got your insurance.
Yes, as long as you've got your insurance. Don't give your services away. Don't charge too little. Think about what your time is worth. And it's not just, oh, wow, I'm earning 50 quid an hour. I used to earn 15. Because you can't see clients every single hour of every single day. So you might have worked 8 hours a day and earned £15 an hour, and I'm not quick enough to do the maths, but you might only be able to see 3 or 4 clients in a day if you manage to get that many. So that's, you have to do the sums and figure it out. So your time is worth so much more than that hour or hour and a half that you're giving your clients. I think that's the other key thing, is make a session either an hour. Mine are an hour and a half because I struggle to keep it in an hour. So I charge more because they are an hour and a half, and the client feels they're getting a lot more value, so I can charge more. So don't let it spread over, because then you end up giving 2 sessions away for the price of one, or a session and a half for the price of one. Do offer packages, don't just do one-off sessions. And again, we're going to talk a lot more about that in our course. But I think the key things as well to not do, you don't need a really fancy website. We had a really interesting conversation, didn't we, on the bonus group that we did for your fast track people. So Tamara's got this amazing membership that we did a big bonus session for the other week. And yes, I think for me, I want to have a nice website, but my website only cost me about 500 quid. And I've been in business for years. I have spent money on a website before, not much money. I got someone in the Philippines to do it for a very, very low amount of money, but it was a bit crap. But it did the job. It did the job, and it was fine for what I needed at the time. I much prefer my new website. I love it. It's more me. It's really aligned to what I'm doing. But I didn't spend loads of money on it. It already needs updating. So actually figure out if you want to do your website yourself. Be realistic. Have you really got the skills? It is quite easy to do it yourself online. You don't have to pay someone else to do it. But ideally, you want to be able to update it yourself, because it is going to change and evolve quickly. Hi, Bonnie. Morning. And the other thing is, you don't need a massive fancy website, because your journey as an EFT practitioner is going to change and evolve so much. You might start out thinking, do you know what I love? And this was my journey. I love treating phobias, and because they're so easy and you get such a massive result. Actually, it's quite hard to build a business on phobias, because you do get rid of them so quickly, and you do, like, we all get amazing results, but you get rid of them so quickly that you can't have a client for many sessions. You've got to do a lot more marketing and recruitment for your clients. So websites, that's the key thing. You don't need to spend a lot of money on. And I just think figuring out who it is, and again, this will evolve, but figuring out who it is that you want to work with the most, and approaching those people, or people that know those people, rather than just going, here I am, everyone. Like, think about the analogy of being a small fish in a massive ocean. If you try and talk to everyone saying, I do EFT, and it can fix everything, you will get some clients, because I think now EFT is much more well known and people seek out EFT. That wasn't the case when I started. People didn't know what EFT was, and if they did, if I told them about it, they thought it was really weird and ran away. Like I tried to do when I met Tamara, but I was too pregnant and I couldn't. So I was stuck. Thank God I was. Yeah, be a big fish in a small pond. That's who you want to be. And that's quite triggering and scary, because it's like, oh, who am I to be that big fish in that small pond? But you are going to build such your business is going to grow so much quicker and easier if you are that big fish in a small pond. Because you just think about it, you're not necessarily a big fish in a small pond, you're just with your mates and people that resonate with you and people that like what you do and are into the same things. In an ocean, it's like, I kind of think it's like starting your first day at school in one of those massive American schools that have thousands and thousands and thousands of pupils, or just going to your local village school in the UK where there's about 30 people. It's that kind of, I think it's that niceness, really, not being in that huge arena, being in that small one that suits you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's brilliant. And thank you so much. I think that's so useful. And you know something, if anyone's watching live who wants to just put in a question, then please do. And if we catch it, we'll definitely get Liz to answer it. But But I also, isn't it interesting, because the thing is about running an EFT business, or any business for that matter, is that it's not just doing EFT. There's also a lot of other things, like there's accounts, dare I say. Oh, I need to tap on that. There's accounts, there's admin, there's filing, there's also, dare I say, that absolutely dreaded work, marketing, or just talk. Maybe there's a better word, but just talking about what you do. So whether it's like you go for a coffee with a friend and you just mention what you do, or you're posting something on Facebook, or but those things take time, and it's like we don't actually allocate time for those kind of things.
Yeah.
So therefore, when it comes to the charging, really you're not just charging for that hour, you're charging for all that legwork that you're doing. And I know that so many people say to me, like, what should I charge? I mean, I know that's such a big one. And what would you say to that? What should I charge? That comes up a lot.
Yeah, sure. So please don't anyone charge less than 50 quid when you're starting out. I think less than that, in my experience, a lot of counsellors charge 50 quid. So in my head, I'm like, well, is what I do on a par with them? Absolutely. We won't go down this road. But in my opinion, EFT is much more valuable than counselling. Counselling has its place, but I think, or EFT combined with counselling, even better, or coaching, which is what that's why I call myself the EFT coach. So, like, what are you doing if you're charging less than 50 quid? You're actually not just doing yourself a disservice and the client, which I will come on to, but you're doing the EFT community a disservice, because you're devaluing the whole EFT, everything that we do. It's really powerful and really effective. And if we're not charging much for that, but we're not going to be seen as that. We're not going to be seen as the professionals that we are. So we have to raise the bar collectively. And I'm really, really passionate about that. I think also, if you charge too little, the client is not going to value what they're paying you. And you might not have anything to compare it to. If you haven't done counselling or EFT with somebody else who is charging a decent amount, if you haven't, you might have, like, some people will do, I don't know, like Reiki for 35 quid. Like, how can they run a business like that? So you're kind of comparing your prices against those kinds of people. Don't do that. Compare your prices to a real professional. I'm not dissing Reiki masters, by the way. I think they're amazing and they should be charging more. They could learn just as much from this webinar as EFT practitioners. Helen, I'll come on to your question. Thank you for that. Compare yourself. Don't compare yourself to anyone. Compare yourself to a hairdresser, because hairdressers, I think, charge so much money, and you're in and out in half an hour sometimes, and you're like, I've just been charged like 80 quid. What have I paid for? And but you think, well, actually, I'm not just paying for their time and their act of cutting my hair. I'm paying for their training. I'm paying for the salon. I'm paying for, their holiday pay and all those things, and the marketing that they've had to do. Anything that you buy, I've got a bottle of Febreze here, just grab it for the sake of it. I'm not just paying for what's inside the bottle. I'm paying for the packaging. I'm paying for the marketing. I'm paying for the factory that makes this, all of that stuff. So that's what you've got to think of yourself. You're a proper business. I always say, put your CEO hat on. You're a CEO now. And that's really quite scary sometimes, but you are, and be proud of it. And you have got to do the admin, the accounts, all of those things. Accounts, especially, if that frightens you, farm that out. You can do that relatively cheaply. But just, you've got to charge what you're worth. And I think you're worth a lot more than 50 quid an hour, or a session. And that's why I recruit people on packages, because then I always have in my head, I always work it out and say, well, that's roughly 130 quid a session. But then I say, okay, what else are they getting? I'm not just getting my time and all the stuff I've mentioned, all your training and stuff, but what results are they getting? And what pain are they leaving behind and erasing and what pleasure and benefits and results they're going towards. What is that worth? If someone hasn't stepped on a plane for 10 years and they desperately want to go on holiday with their family, but they're too scared, if that was me, well, I can't put myself in that place because I haven't been, but I know clients have been like, oh my God, yeah, of course I'll pay 300 quid to get rid of that, because they desperately, like the price of a flight. Now, you know, it's so relative. So really think about the results and the benefits. And in terms of actual figures, obviously once you qualify, you probably won't go straight to the 130 quid a session plus, you know, whatever. But you could. There's nothing stopping you. There's no rules that say you can't. And so go for it. I bet people would pay it 100%. People aren't going to, they might at first a little bit, oh, how long have you qualified? But they probably won't. It's probably more you bringing that to the conversation. So don't get sucked into that, well, I've only just learned this, so I'm basically an apprentice. You're not. If you're qualified and you've passed and you're having your supervision, you're a professional like the rest of us. You're just a bit less experienced. And obviously, as you get more experience, you'll feel more comfortable setting the right levels. So that's the other key thing. It has to align with you. You have to feel good about charging whatever it is that you're charging. While I do get most of my clients to usually double what they charge, some of them I don't go double straight away because they just feel so disaligned with it, they will sabotage. And if they have a conversation with someone, then mess it up just because they feel so incongruent with that charge. And then we have to work on their self-worth and their self-value and do it in increments. But it's perfectly possible for that. Yeah.
To say one thing, it's like if you, I mean, I don't, here in the UK, I don't know if you know, but I think apparently all the energy prices are like going up substantially today. And the point is that I mean, I know everything, just on the flip side of this, if we don't charge enough, how are we going to put food on the table? How are we going to have the life we want? Like, we're going to go out of business unless we charge something that is going to make sure that we can buy food, buy the electricity, and just beyond that, like have a nice life or have the life we want. For everyone, that's going to be different. But if we don't charge, we're not going to be able to do EFT doing that. It's just like a reality.
Yeah.
But if you can get back to Helen, because she's got a couple of points here.
Yes. So, Helen, I'll come to your second question first, because it's more relevant to this exact topic. I feel if I put my prices up, I risk losing clients that can't afford more in this current climate. So I've had this with a client recently, and she was only charging £45 for an hour and a half, session by session. So it was very easy for her. I was like, okay. And she was actually giving me some meditation training. So I was like, what I'm paying you is so cheap. It's like when you said that, because I met her on a grief retreat and I just thought she was amazing. And then when I worked with her one-on-one, I was like, it was so incongruent. I'm like, what? So, you know, she's struggling. So I said, all right, I'm going to pay you £60, not 45, because that's what you need to put your prices up for everyone. Now, bear in mind, I was paying her for meditation teaching, and I ended up telling her this. But like, what was she thinking? And I said, okay, realistically, would your clients say, do you know what, 15 quid more, I can't afford it? They might do, some of them might do, but most of them won't. And if that feels really uncomfortable, just put it up by a tenner. And they will understand cost of living, everything else. You don't have to explain it, by the way, just say I'm putting my prices up. But she's in the process of doing it. But what she also found, because she was charging so cheap, she was really busy. So you think, great, she's making more money because she's got more clients. Actually, she's so burnt out. I mean, the number of times she had to cancel because she, you know, I guess she was just burnt out and she couldn't manage it all. She tried to squash too many people in and that wasn't possible. So actually losing a few clients, and we did the sums, and again, that's quite hard work for me because I'm not very good at maths, but like, okay, if you go from 45 to 60, you can afford to lose this, however many clients. You've got, like, say you're up here with 100 clients a week at 45 quid. If you go to 60 and you have 100, you'll be up here. What's in my hands? up here. But if you are, if you lose some clients, you're still going to be there. So actually, your quid's in because you're making more money and you've got less clients, which is what you want because we can't.
And you've got more time.
Exactly, you've got more
to
time.
develop the business even further.
Yeah. So maybe introduce a group program or just have some time for yourself because she was exhausted and burning out. And if you burn out, then you stop and you can't see any clients. Or if you do, you're not very effective and good at it. And you've just got that feeling of like, oh, the joy just goes. You know, that is kind of what happened to me a couple of years, 3 years ago. I was just so busy and I was making loads of money, but I wasn't enjoying it because I just thought, this is just too hard. I can't sustain this. The money's great. I was also paying a lot of money out for help. But, you know, it was just the balance was wrong. So I cut a lot of stuff out and I could afford to lose the clients, partly because I wanted to downsize anyway, but also because I put my price up, or I did retain the clients that I really wanted. So, Helen, yeah, I get it totally. And in the course that we're running, we're going to talk about how you can do packages. If you're making enough money, I'll explain it briefly now, but you could offer like a scholarship to if you're doing a group program, for example, and you could create a competition to win it, which again creates a marketing buzz. And I'll talk you through how I did that in one of my programs. So I hope that answers. Yeah, there are lots of people that can't afford it. But that's why we do the free stuff as part of your marketing that gives them help, but perhaps doesn't give them the whole caboodle. We can't help everyone, and it is one of those sad things. You know, you could always, if you've got more time, you could always do some voluntary work at a church or a hospice, you know, that kind of thing. So there's loads of other ways that you can actually make it right in your heart that you're still helping those people that really can't afford you. I don't want to make anyone a cutthroat business person that is just like, no, haven't got time for that. If they can't afford it, it's their problem. I worked with a coach that was like, they'll find the money if it's worth it. She was sleeping on someone's couch when she first paid $5,000 for her first coaching program. And I'm like, I'm not into making people poor. I want to make them richer and enjoy their business and love it. So, yeah. Hopefully that answers. And Graham's answered it as well. If you want the cheapest, don't expect the best. If you want the best, don't expect to be cheap. Love it. Thank you, Graham. So Helen, I hope that, let me know how that's landed with you. And Helen's also asked, how do we get more visibility for our business, get people to see what we offer? Well, that is such a massive question. I think, and what we're going to be covering in the course. Again, it comes back to what your niche is, who it is that you want to work with. If you can start there, then you can be really specific on where you talk about your business, where you go and attract people. So I'm just trying to think of an example. I'm kind of thinking, so for example, at the moment, my business is growing without me basically doing anything, which is really great. Not the best strategy because it might not be completely maintainable for forever. But for example, I realise that there's a real lack of business knowledge for EFT people, as well as all those other people out there that I help, nutritionists, other coaches. I was like, coaches and experts, that's the trap, not the trap, but the bubble we all sort of fall into. But actually, when I got specific on EFT, so much easier because it's what I do. So I get it, and I get your struggles, and I've done it myself. So, like, Tamara and I were just having a chat, and she was like, why don't we do this? We were like, yeah, great. Why don't we do this?
Yeah.
And it just happened
like that, yeah.
And so it's so easy because I'm talking to the lady that's got an audience of EFT practitioners. So if you wanted to help, I don't know, say you were really, really great at...
Helen does yoga.
Oh, okay. Helen does yoga. So say you realise that EFT really helped with people with back pain, which a lot of people go to yoga for. That's a really good add-on. So talk to the people that you already know. You might have yoga friends and they might think, oh, I don't want you to come in and stealing my yoga people. But actually, EFT could be a really good add-on for their yoga clients. You're not stealing their yoga clients, you're giving them the addition of EFT to improve their yoga practice. So they get even more benefits out of their yoga practice with their yoga instructor, not necessarily with you. And so you could do a partnership with another yoga instructor because you get their audience, you get their struggles, you can do it very complementary with the yoga and build some really great relationships that way. And how do you do that? You go out and talk to yoga instructors and say, look, and you could even like call the elephant in the room. You might think I'm after your yoga clients. I'm really not. This is my reason. This is what I'm so passionate about because I've seen the difference in my clients, and I want to help other people get even better clients for their yoga classes, participants. Does that make sense?
It does to me, yeah. And kind of like it can create added value to other people's yoga classes that they have like an extra add-on thing. But obviously, Helen, I don't know if that's what you're thinking, and maybe that's not the direction you want to go in, but it's just something to think about, and you can apply it in the way that seems relevant to you.
Yeah. And so cool.
Oh, fantastic, Bonnie. That sounds wonderful. Mindset, gratitude expert, collaboration, partnerships podcast. Fantastic.
Yeah. So I know Bonnie. Bonnie is a literal queen at getting podcast interviews. I don't know how she does it. She has one like probably 2 a week on probably. So if you want to connect with Bonnie and ask her how she does that, because
yeah, I'd like to know Bonnie.
Tell us, Bonnie. But basically, I think I know her, so I kind of think I know how she does it. She just goes and talks to people, like she makes friends with them on Facebook, and she talks about her struggles and what she's overcome, and she's overcome a lot, by the way. And so people think, wow, that's a really inspiring story. I want to know more. So talk about yourself and your own journey. I use a lot of my own examples as well as my clients because I think it's relevant. What I've been through is very similar to what you guys will or have been through or will in the future. So, absolutely talk about yourself, make yourself approachable and just normal. I think the days of these gurus on a stage going, I earn £1 million, you can do it too really easily, working 3 days a week. We all know that's rubbish now because we've all tried it. It doesn't work. So we just want to connect with normal people. And I think the whole like reality TV and all that kind of stuff, YouTube experts, they've made normal people almost the new gurus, and people want to connect. They don't want to connect with gurus. They want to connect with normal people, everyday people who have actually just gone through similar or what they have or will be going through.
And I love what Catherine says, plenty for everyone, absolutely, abundance. And we have such a mindset of like, there's not enough. And I think, tapping on the not enoughness is a really good thing to do. And to celebrate that there is more than enough for you, for me, for everyone. And that's when you can get into that, it just frees you up in a way, I think.
Yeah, it totally does.
And fantastic, Bonnie, wow.
Yeah, that's brilliant. So Bonnie's got 2 podcasts scheduled for Sunday and 1 for August, which actually, Bonnie, I'm so glad you said that because I think that's such a key point. Like, you've got to fill the pipeline. So August seems ages away, but how brilliant if Bonnie knows that she gets a client out of, like, say she even just gets 1 client out of a podcast on average, then, thanks, Bonnie. Then she's filling the pipeline. So August is almost taken care of. I know that one of the ladies I work with, I've done something for her group beforehand, she has a money month, which I think is in July or June. So I know, actually, I really need to contact her because I want to be able to do a webcast for her audience in the money month. Because last year I did it and I got loads of clients from it. It was literally just so easy, just from doing an hour's training. It's just so easy. So think about, I was saying before about the yoga instructors, think about who else online does this stuff. Because if you're online, a lot of us will want to do in-person stuff as well, but online is just so much less time consuming. You haven't got to travel, you don't have the chit chat, you can have it if you want. But it's just a much better use of our time, and people are used to doing it now. It's one of the blessings that have come out of COVID, that it's not a big barrier anymore, which is awesome.
I want to say that I am very, very delighted and excited that Liz is going to be running a workshop for us, for our EFT practitioners, for any EFT practitioners out there. And what I really love about this course that you're creating for us is because, in my experience, I go to courses, I get really fired up about them, and I get very excited about implementing whatever I learn. And then I come home and life takes over, and I just don't get to do what I want to do. In fact, I've got one of those courses in the back of my mind right now. Yeah, I've just got to do that work, and I haven't kind of scheduled the time. But when I said to Liz, I'd love you to run a course, I said, I want a course that includes implementation, because that way she's going to give us some information. We're going to get into small groups or do it one, I don't know, you know how we're going to do it, but either small groups or time alone. We're going to do some work. We're going to come back together. We can ask Liz questions so that we can actually know that we're getting it right, doing it right. She might tweak it a little bit for us, but that's kind of how the course is going to be. And I'm really excited about that, because if you come on this course, you're going to come away with having got stuff done that will take you forward to getting the abundance of clients and charging what you want and having the kind of business that makes you feel happy and joyful. And that's what I'm really, really excited about. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you want to say anything specifically about it, but that's my why I wanted you to come on and help us.
Thank you. That's so sweet. And what I would say is, don't forget, me and Tamara are running it together. So it's not just me. Tamara has an amazing business as well. So you are getting two for less than the price of one, I think. So I've run this kind of stuff before, and it's really, I think we are creating a real challenge for ourselves by getting you to do it at the time, because so many of you will be there and go, oh yeah, I want to do this later because I don't really want to do it at all. But it's like, no, if you actually do it, even if you change it later, or you think, well, do you know what? Now I've done that, I've realised that I really like working with this client. It's not like, oh, I have to change everything. You just tweak it, and you will know the skills to do that really easily and quickly. And I do think, just being able to do it then and there. We're not going to be doing loads of tapping on the programme. We might have to do a bit at some point, because I'm sure there will be times when people are like, I just can't do it. I don't want to niche. I just want to help everyone, or, whatever. I can't possibly put my prices up. I can't charge that. So it's not we're going to fix your mindset for it. We have got a bonus session. So any early birds get to come to an hour and a half bonus session that is going to do just that. Just focus on the mindset behind it, how you can put your prices up, really make you, it won't fix you completely and forever. It might fix some of you that have got small resistance. This is another huge thing, but it will really help you enough to, on the course, blitz through that resistance and get this shit done. I'm not supposed to swear, but sometimes I do. And just really get it done and get it so it's either out there or very ready to go out there. And I want people to get it out there after the course, because we all hold ourselves back because we don't think we have the skills, or we haven't got the time to commit to doing this stuff. So if we do it on the course, and there will be little bits of homework, but we don't want to give you loads of homework, because obviously if we do that, then it won't get done. And I really want, my overwhelming, and I think Tamara's too, desire is for you to come away having done the stuff, because that's going to give us so much satisfaction, isn't it? And Tamara trains you guys. Of course she wants you to have businesses. And I'm so into making money and having a joyful business. I want the same. And we want you to really love your businesses. So that's, we're just so passionate about you getting the results. And if we can get some awesome testimonials, we could run the course again. it's obviously the first time we've run it, but so therefore it is the most generous package you're getting, because we might think we've overstretched ourselves, but we're totally up for that, so don't worry. Any questions on that? Yeah, bright shiny objects, Graham. We all do that. Like I still do it now. I have to be really strict with myself. I was listening to a podcast on positive parenting this morning. I was like, I've got to buy this. And I thought, will I actually do it? Will I actually do it? Pause. Don't buy it yet, because I'm not sure I will. So, be careful, shiny objects.
Well, if anyone's got any further questions, you can type them in the comments after we finished, and I'm sure Liz can get back, or I can get back to you. Thank you so much for being here. If you've enjoyed this, please do share this link with your friends who you know might enjoy listening to this little chat. And in the meantime, have an amazing day. And thank you so much, Liz, for coming on with me and for doing this fun collaboration together, because I think I'm really going to enjoy it.
Yeah, me too. Thank you, Tamara. I really appreciate it.
Okay. Bye.
Good day, everyone. See you there.